Hey everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and discuss Village of Doom, or Ushimitsu Nomura, a 1983 film which is directed by Noboru Tanaka, and it also stars Masato Furuya as Sugio Inumaru. In this reenactment, Sugio is known in his secluded village as an academically gifted young man with a promising future. And wanting to make his family proud, he decides to enlist in the Japanese military, but much to his chagrin, a doctor diagnoses him with tuberculosis, preventing him from serving his country. Once the villagers are aware of Sugio's illness, he is treated differently, ostracized even, as locals choose to ignore him. This inaptitude only further enrages him once the women become less inclined to accept his advances in a practice known as yobai, or night crawling, where a young unmarried man sneaks into a woman's home in order to entice them for sex. Already feeling frustrated due to the circumstances, Sugio's resentment only further intensifies once he learns that his cousin, who he loves deeply, a little too much, is getting married and moving away. Even his grandmother becomes weary of his collection of firearms, and an incident in particular later on where a possible poisoning occurs, all leading up to a deadly night. Just to provide a little bit of backstory into the real life events, basically a disgruntled young man by the name of Mutso Toi climbed an electrical tower and cut the main power supply to the small village of what is now known as Tsuyama. On the night of May 21st, 1938, Toi went on to murder 30 people, including his grandmother. Using various weapons, including a Remington 11 shotgun, a katana, and an axe, Toi set off in the night like a demon to exact revenge. The Tsuyama massacre remains the deadliest mass murder spree in Japanese history. And to my knowledge, based off what I've read, the massacre did last around 90 minutes. Tanaka was known for his pink films, or adult entertainment, softcore eroticism, and Village of Doom was one of his first major breakouts into mainstream media. Because of Tanaka's previous background and filmography, the movie does include hypersexual scenes that do linger on for quite a while. Throughout the film, the lead wants to regain control no matter what. When affairs with several women tank, he reverts to violence and needing to have dominance, to the point where Sugio becomes bold when visiting the women, even when their husbands have returned from battle. I would say the first half of the film is drama-driven, learning about the character, until we reach the latter half, where the horror really presents itself, and we're engulfed with a 15 to 20 minute mass murder. Another major point of the film that I find fascinating is Sugio's attire once he's armed to the teeth, as can be seen on the poster for the Blu-ray or DVD cover. A pair of flashlights attached to his head, which are being held by a headband, almost appearing menacing with the flashlights as eyes, like the demon that he calls himself as he stalks and kills his foes. Keep in mind that when I choose to use the word foe, it's for the way that the film presents his gradual mental decline as he behaves as if he's actually going to war. And in those moments when Sugio has a crazed look in his eyes, anyone who may have wronged him falls prey. It happens in such quick succession, the movie keeps you affixed to every victim, with bloodshed on display, men, women, children, and the elderly as targets. It's not an arbitrary act. He knows exactly who he's gunning for. So as far as aspects of the movie that I either liked or held my interest, one, I would have to say the cinematography, so the mountainous view overlooking the village with the dry farming, and also the night shot scenes where several people are attempting to flee as Sugio is hunting them down. The camera changes its POV with shining a light on its, or a spotlight on its victims with this handheld camera motion. Also, Sugio's ability to make me extremely uncomfortable with his mistreatment of women, his incel-like behavior. The actor who does play Sugio did in fact pass away in 2003 via suicide, which makes it all the more startling considering that he passed away 20 years after this film, and this film does include suicide as well. There is a particular scene that comes to mind, and that's another trigger point for Sugio, as he believes that this group of vigilantes that are protecting this village from any sort of outsiders, they kill this individual and lynch him, like literally hang him from a tree. It frightens Sugio into thinking that he's going to be the next target. And given Sugio's progression into complete isolation and chaos, it makes me extremely uncomfortable having this sort of anticipation, knowing the events that are to come. Another part of the movie that I really wanted to point out are certain key pieces to the story when he promises his grandma that he will do nothing to shame her while she's still alive. And in the real life events, according to his suicide note, he chose his grandmother as his first victim so she wouldn't have to live with the shame and embarrassment of what he had done. And that is heavy. I don't have the most major criticisms of this movie other than it didn't fully keep my attention. I think I'd just like more context into this fictionalized retelling because everything presented is to be taken at face value. Tanaka's retelling points a more sympathetic light to this character while villainizing the townspeople. So I'm wondering with the music that's a bit off for this time period, if it's accompanying the lead's eventual decline. We're looking at things through his perspective, so I'm wondering how different were the real life people versus the dramatized events. It was an okay watch. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's just not one that I would care to revisit because also, I'm very particular when it comes to exploitation type horror. Overall, let me know your thoughts on Village of Doom if you have watched this movie, or if you haven't, if this sounds like it would be right up your alley. Otherwise, have a great night, guys. Bye.